Hey guys, we got a video here today from Video Games Evolution. This is the evolution of boxing game KOs. 1978 to 2025, let's have a look. You know, this game is kind of like dog crap, but it's impressive how good it looks, I guess, for 1978. And we also got cassette boxing. I didn't even know you could run games via cassette back in 1978. I thought that whole shtick started with Commodore 64. I think I've seen this one before. Oh, is it on the Intellivision? I might have this on my copy. I've got the Intellivision collection on PS2. I have a funny feeling I've seen this one before. Yeah, I've seen this one as well. You know, they actually still have, like, boxing simulation games on PC, and when the computer opponents fight each other in the sim, it sometimes shows it from this overhead perspective. Doesn't really do anything for me, but obviously this has been happening for a long time. This is on the Atari-era, apparently. Gee, shits me, I don't even know what the Atari-era is. Kind of looks like an LCD game. Oh, now we're talking. I don't need to talk too much about Punch-Out, but this came out in 1983. It's colourful. The characters all feel full of life, have a ton of personality even back then. Finally, a proper evolution in video game boxing games. This is awesome. What's that, Pete Pasta? What a name, Pete Pasta. Alright, now we got Box Camp. Oh, geez. These early ones are really hard to watch, aren't they? This is German. And now we got heavy boxing on the sword MS. Dude, are they like female boxers? You know what this looks like? Female boxers wearing headgear. Looks like female amateur boxers. Is it just me seeing this? I don't know. Not that it even matters. I don't know what the sword MS is. Now we got Rocky Super Action. Oh! So I thought the first Rocky game was actually on Sega Master System. Some regions called it Heavyweight Champ, but I think in North America it was licensed as Rocky. I thought that was the first Rocky game. I'd never seen this one before, but hey, for 83, it looks like Rocky and Clubber Lang, kind of. Now we got Champion Boxing here on the SG-1000 Japanese Sega system. Now we got the sequel to Punch-Out. Just more of the same as before, but improved. Actually, you know what, come to think of it, Super Punch-Out, the colours and graphics look slightly cleaned up and improved. Little bit subtle, but since I just looked at the previous game beforehand, I can actually notice a difference. This one has a lot of polish, it's nice. VS Gong Fight. Yeah, I think my burger place had this when I was a kid. I never put a coin in it though, but I've actually seen this one. VS Gong Fight. Don't know if it'd be fun to play. Now we got 10 Knockout and Commodore 64. These games just look arse at the moment. I apologize, guys. Now 3D boxing on the Amstrad. I don't know what it's called, but I think it was the Amstrad where I played a boxing game around this time where I had to beat the hell out of a kangaroo, and spoiler alert, the kangaroo beat me. I don't know, is this the same game? It's been a long time. Now we got Barry Magwin World Championship Boxing. Forgive me, I'm usually in tune with boxing, but I don't know who the hell that is. Who is that? Now we got Fight Night. Oh, this is not our fight night. This is your mum and dad's fight night. I never pulled this one out in the Commodore 64. I was actually expecting to know a lot more games on this list, to be honest. But, you know, anything before 1987 probably going to be a stretch. Oh, and that Fight Night had a sequel as well? Who's that hobo in the beard? Frank Bruno's Boxing. Now, this is really, really interesting. Oh, man. So, I've heard of Frank Bruno's Boxing, but I never actually saw it. I just heard it floating around, never tried it. It looks like the Commodore 64 was really, really cheeky, took Punch-Out from Nintendo and basically put their own spin on it. Wouldn't be the first time. You had the Super Giana Sisters as well, which was a copy of Super Mario Brothers. And the ZX Spectrum. It looks like two wimpy kids trying to fight at school. Now we got Konami Boxing. Yeah, at this point, their wrestling games were better. What was the one they brought out? main event or whatever. Now we got another Rocky game. I don't remember ever seeing that guy in a Rocky film. We got Adolf. What, is Hitler's in this? Oh, you better knock the hell out of that sumbitch. You better knock him out. I don't remember any of those guys from Rocky. Now we got Sierra Championship Boxing. Bro, the game itself here doesn't look that good, but this whole like blue, purple, and black graphics for MS-DOS was just so timeless back in the day. You know, whether it was like a sports game like golf or something else. I mean, these colors just remind me of my childhood. Obviously, gaming's come a long way, and these don't really hold up today, but it just takes me back to a really happy place. And it's okay to visit the past as long as you don't live there. It looks like we got another version of Frank Bruno Boxing. The Deja, I think they accidentally put this in the video twice. Ah, okay, now we're talking. Now we're getting to some heavy hitters. So this was Heavyweight Champ, I think licensed by Sega. Now, I never really played this game, but they did a sequel, I think, a few years later called Title Fight, which I do remember in the arcades. And you actually had these paddles, and you could hold on to them and actually make proper punching movements with your fists. It was really, really good. You could actually play it on emulation today. Unfortunately, some of the graphics are playing up and stuff, so it's not the same immersive experience. But this is where it all began. This is a pretty cool 3D boxing game, actually. Not bad. I've got this on my emulator. And now we got... Well, dude, we just went from that to this. I mean, this is like an aftermarket Atari game. Atari should have been left in the past at this point. Now we got Star Rank Boxing. This is the first DOS boxing game that I saw that almost looks passable from sort of like an 8-ish-bit perspective. Now the Big KO. That looks like the guy in the big pants got the Leisure Suit Larry vibes, but he has a big gonzo nose. And now we got Rocky. And see, this is the one that I was talking about on Master System. This was Heavyweight Champ in other regions worldwide, but in America it was Rocky. Short game, and a little bit tricky to play, but it had Apollo, Bubba, Drago, Ringkin. This game is famous on NES for in-between rounds when it looks like the corner guy is giving fellatio to the boxer. It's freaking hilarious. If you know, you know. Even when I use a cheat code, I can't pass more than 2 fights. I don't know what's going on. I just suck at the game. I want to be good at this game, but I'm just not. Now we got Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Dude, I don't need to give you guys a big spin. If you've been watching my videos for more than 5 minutes, you know this is one of my favorite games of all time. It's just absolutely brilliant. Oozes personality. Exciting boxing.
You said something earlier.
There you go. I love how Konami would always shamelessly promote their products in the background of both their console and arcade games. Another 3D perspective game. Looks okay, I guess. What, 1987? Yeah. I guess it's just a matter if it's fun to play. Now we got these Atari 7800. Man, that was advertised for a short amount of time in Australia, but it flopped miserably here. Oh! Yeah, this is Final Blow, and I think this got ported later on to Sega Genesis and was called Buster Douglas Boxing. I think it was more or less the same game, wasn't it? Now, I don't know how to play Final Blow here, but I've always been very intrigued by it. I have beaten a boxer or two when I've hit lightning in a bottle, but then I get stuck. But this is definitely one I want to dive into more. I don't usually favor the side-by-side old-school boxing games as much as the 3D ones. We now got gold medalist here. It doesn't look too bad, actually. I like the music. Finally, there's sort of like a backing track on that. And then I'm kind of... This looks seconds out. This actually looks okay. I'm kind of getting deja vu on that one. We've got Star Rank Boxing on the Apple II. This is already really dated. This looks like it came out in 1980, bro. This is no good. Now we got TKO on Commodore. I mean, I don't know if this is fun to play, but the graphics are pretty impressive. That's the first thing I've noticed. But, I don't know. I'm a little bit cynical on this one. It doesn't look like your conventional boxing game, does it? The final round is an arcade game. It's a shame. This would have been one of my favorites if it wasn't for the fact that I think this is a Taito game, if I'm not mistaken, and they were notorious for just unfairly stealing quarters, right? So the mechanics are here as far as the boxing games go, as is the graphics and the atmosphere and everything. Unfortunately, it just feels too cheap to play, if that makes sense. And but I mean, give this one a shot. They're definitely up there as far as arcade boxing games go at the time. We got ABC Wide World of Boxing. So a few years later, we had Evander Holyfield's Real Deal Boxing, which shared this engine, and I freaking love that game. And Greatest World Heavyweights as well, which also shared this engine. And the graphics greatly improved. It would have speech in it, and the simulation of a career was absolutely fantastic. But hey, that's where it all began. Now we got Ringside. Looks a little bit sluggish to me, to be honest. And the champ. The champ is here. It looks like they're just fighting at the gym. I don't know if there's any arenas in this. Maybe it's just a lower ranked fight. Digital champ. It looks a little bit clunky, this one. And the CPU didn't really seem like he was fighting back on the PC engine. And Bullfiery. Oh, so one of these Japanese games kind of got that anime sort of vibe to it. Ipponda fighting. So, you know, have you ever seen that anime? We got All In Boxing.
1, 2.
You little bobblehead sumbishes. I don't even know what that system is. Ashita no Joe is an arcade game, apparently. Oh, I don't know this one. It kind of looks a little bit like Heavyweight Champ that we saw about a dozen games beforehand from 1987. But a little bit more silly, a little bit more comical. Now we got Low Blow and MS-DOS. This game looks alright. Interesting, he's fighting from like a diagonal perspective. I don't think I'd seen that before. And look, it's happening again. It's sort of like an isometric boxing game. You don't see that too often. You would see that in wrestling games. Now we got Pound for Pound. Oh, I haven't seen this for a long time. Was this an IREM game? Again, kind of like that old school Atari or Intellivision game from the past with an overhead perspective, but with better graphics, basically. And now, was this a Game Boy boxing? I didn't even know there were any boxing games on Game Boy. The only thing I really like is the jingle. Now we got World Boxing on NES. I've never seen this one. Might have been Japanese only. 40 Sports Boxing, MS-DOS. Oh, you know what? 1990. Polygon. I mean, I don't know if this is polygons or giving the illusion of polygons, but that kind of style was not that common in 1990. And I almost feel like you've got like 3D polygons. Yeah, it is. That's really neat. World Champ. So I think this was like a spiritual sequel to Ring King. I remember I would actually rent this game, and I actually beat it. And there was code you could use to use a power-up boxer, excuse me. Easier than Ring King, at least I thought it was at the time. Although, to be fair, I haven't played this one in 30 years. But hey, this is a great boxing simulation. I had a lot of fun as a kid. I don't know if North America got this. This might have been a PAL-only release. I'm not sure. Let me know. But this is a cool game, man. Ashita no Neo Geo. Yeah, I remember this one. Wasn't there sequences in this game where you had to sort of like do behind the scenes stuff? Like there was sort of like a storyline, and then you'd have your boxing matches. A nice attempt at doing something, I guess, cinematic, immersive at the time, I suppose. But I played this one a few times. Champions Forever Boxing. Not seen this one myself. Looks a little funky. Graphics are nice though. And Devastating. Oh, dude. The ZX Spectrum at this point in time must have been on life support. You've seen all those other amazing games, just a few beforehand. And then you see this. I mean, if anything needs to be knocked out, it looks like it's this game. I have no interest in it. Not in 1991. Final Blow. Yeah, the Amiga. So this is a port of the arcade game that we saw before. And a little bit of a downgrade, but still looks okay. And Heavyweight Champ on Master System. So, but you saw Rocky before, right? This is just the unlicensed version of Rocky as far as I know. What's interesting is it looks like this one came out a few years afterwards on Master System. I did not know that. I would have assumed that they would come out in the same time, but one would have the license to the US and the other one would be Heavyweight Champ, if that makes sense. You know, the other one was Rocky. But okay, interesting. This one came out a few years later worldwide. Unless Rocky came out, then they lost the license and then called it Heavyweight Champion afterwards. That could happen. Now we got Pro Boxing Simulator. 3D World Boxing. There's some sluggish ones here. Good news is once we start getting into the mid-90s, I'll start getting pretty good. Boxing Champ, Commodore again. Again, Commodore 64 was on life support by about this time. Yeah, now we're talking. Now we're pulling out the big freaking guns. And I'm so proud because what's really unique about this game is once you get halfway through your career and become champion, you actually start to lose all your stats. So once you start aging, you get weaker and you have to stay on top and fight for as long as you can on top. And after 40 matches, you retire. I remember I got up to the championship and won all 40 fights flawlessly when I was a teenager. Oh, it was my claim to fame. Got the highest score possible. It was epic. But this is a great boxing simulator, man. Evander Holyfield was really popular at the time. George Foreman's KO Boxing. This was on everything. I mainly played the Sega version. I wanted to like this game because it's a lot like Punch-Out. But it just without the fun, unfortunately. I mean, I tolerated it when I was a kid. I can't tolerate this now. Muhammad Ali Heavyweight Boxing. I mean, I think there's a strategy in this somewhere, and I did beat this on a rental. I remember when you would load up the title screen, you'd have, like, the cinematic of Muhammad Ali going, "Who's the heavyweight champion of the world?" And everyone's like, Ali, Ali. And I was just like, yeah, fuck, let's go. But the game's a little bit of a button basher. I think there is some strategy in this, but I don't know. It's been a long time. Oh, this is Title Fight. This is the sequel to Heavyweight Champ, the arcade game, like I told you. The graphics here are not doing this justice because the screen capture here is caught on MAME. Unfortunately, MAME doesn't catch the visuals of the crowd and everything, unfortunately, in the game, which is a real shame. Because as I said, this is the boxing game that's really immersive with the paddles and it feels like you're actually in the ring. I hope you guys can find an arcade machine of this one day to do the whole experience justice. It really is a good game. And now we got a 3D game. I can't say these Japanese names. I'll butcher them. Onizuka Katsuya Super Virtual Boxing. And Power Punch. I heard that Power Punch 2 was supposed to be Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, the sequel. But he lost the championship and this was around the time he started getting all the trouble, right? And so they just had a Temu version looking at Mike Tyson. All of a sudden, he was fighting aliens instead of on planet Earth. It's okay, I guess. It's mid. It's passable, but it's nothing special. It's not to say you won't have any fun, but I mean, you're not going to lose a weekend in a game like this. We got a Shita Nojo. I didn't realize that this had a Super Nintendo release as well, but I have a funny feeling the Super Nintendo one's probably a bit different. Then you got the Caesar's World of Boxing and the CD. It seems like this engine from Evander Holyfield's boxing was really popular because it was on a ton of different games across all systems. This one doesn't look as good as the Evander Holyfield, to be honest, and it's on a CDI, so I don't know what the excuse is. And Final Knockout Boxing. What didn't they call this ring? Heavyweight Greats or something. I thought this had a different name because I played this on Sega Genesis as well. I know it was Ring Greatest something. I don't remember it being called Final Knockout Boxing, but I have played this game a lot. It's sort of like from a third-person view, which is really, really interesting. Quite fun. I do feel like the CPU further in the game can be a little bit cheap, but it's a solid boxing sim, this one. I think people go to sleep on this game a little bit, actually. When we're talking about boxing games of the era, this one doesn't get mentioned much, but I like to play it. Muhammad Ali's boxing was also on Game Boy. It looks okay. Prize file. This was the Sega CD. But these games, you weren't actually fighting for real, right? It was kind of like Dragon's Lair. You'd have to pick different options and stuff, and then you'd get a different motion video. I wasn't really into the whole Sega CD gimmick stuff, to be honest. Riddick Bowe boxing. Yeah, right, because this was, I'm pretty sure that, oh, it was Buster Douglas boxing that was on Sega Genesis. Riddick Bowe was on Super Nintendo, okay. And Chavez, I mean, more of the same with what we saw before. I guess it depends what region you're in with what it was called. Now we got Greatest Heavyweight. So this is, I guess you could argue, an improved sequel to Evander Holyfield's Real Deal Boxing. Still very fun to play. More taunts. And a little bit more of a simulation too. The buttons on Evander Holyfield were a little bit more basic. In this game, you had more buttons doing more stuff. So I guess it's, if you want a full-on simulation, play this. But if you want a less is more arcadey approach, play Evander Holyfield. That's basically it, really. I prefer Evander Holyfield myself. This one pretty good too, though. Best Bout Boxing arcade game. Look, old mate looks like Rocky's fighting him. Japanese Rocky's fighting Abdullah the Butcher. Looks like Japanese Rocky. Now we got Chavez again, sharing the same engine that we know and love, but just a little bit different. I like the cartoony graphic style on this one. And this was the second of the George Foreman games. I remember it was on Sega and Super Nintendo. I never personally got into this one myself. I tried to play it a few times. I was like, nah. And here we go. We got Super Punch-Out. So everything you know and love from the 1983 version of Punch-Out. Completely overhauled graphically, gameplay, more cartoony, charismatic characters from all over the world. This game is an absolute treat. Not enough good things to say about it. I know Mike Tyson's Punch-Out always going to be the nostalgic favorite, but Super Punch-Out's great. Center Ring Boxing. There was a game that looked a little bit like this called Victory Boxing Champion Edition on Sega Saturn and on Sony PlayStation. Probably put hundreds of hours into that. Around this time period, that was my preference. This one's not so bad. Probably clunky by today's standards, but a big step up. Now we got Foes of Ali. Damn, this is taking boxing and making it look like a blood sport. And it's from EA as well. Wow, so this is before Knockout Kings in 1995, 3DO. Yeah, you go, you good thing, EA Sports. Oh, this is the one with Butterbean, Tough Man Contest. But I played this on the Sega Genesis on a rental. I did beat it. Took me forever to beat Butterbean. And there we go. Jeez, this must have been a late Super Nintendo release. Another good game. We saw this on the Genesis a little bit earlier. And we had Telero Boxer on the Virtual Boy. I really don't want to look at this orange and black graphics for too long, hey. Foreman for real now on the Game Boy. Though those fighting games just did not translate too well on the Game Boy, probably just because it just couldn't handle all the animations needed to be a realistic fighting game, I guess, whether it was boxing or street brawling or whatever. You couldn't really pull off with Pit Fighter, Mortal Kombat, the boxing games. I did think Street Fighter on Game Boy was actually really, really good, but with that being the exception, I don't remember many fighting games being all that good on the system, hey. But it's only due to the system's limitations, right? I guess good on you for having a go. We got Boxers Road on the PlayStation. I'm usually in tune with boxing games on PS1, and I do not remember this one. Maybe it was a Japan release. It's a Flash game. Lenny, Loose Jocks, and I told you about a kangaroo boxing game, but it was on DOS. Funky Head Boxers. I wonder if that's just the developer that put his head in the game. I wonder. It's on the Sega Saturn. And a Hard Blow. See, this looks like Victory Boxing. A little bit different. I wonder if they're going to put Victory Boxing in this. I guess not. Ring, so this sort of anime style here on Super Nintendo, already on 1998. Far out. Japan sure did support the Super Nintendo for a very long time, didn't they? I think by this period we were well into Nintendo 64, PlayStation. Dreamcast was only a year away from this point. Very dated here. Very dated. Yeah, Contender. Alright, so what's really weird about the Contender series is Contender in North America is actually Victory Boxing 2 and Contender 2 is Victory Boxing 3. So I think Victory Boxing Champion Edition wasn't a contender at all, and maybe only the PAL regions got it. But I absolutely love the game. I've got this, but in Australia it's called Victory Boxing 2. And it's still a very, very good 3D game that I enjoy, but brutally hard compared to the first one. It's one of those things where you have to lose like 10 fights to build up your stats, and then you'll finally be strong enough to beat some opponents. And so when I finally win the championship, I'll probably win the championship with a record of like 20 wins and 100 losses or something. Challenging, but when you get the hang of it, pretty rewarding boxing game. I did like Contender here. Also shared boxing facts in between rounds. Oh, bro, I got this in either the final year of high school or the year after high school. But what was really cool about this game, it was like my first like 3D boxing game that I also actually played with friends. Man, I would take this over to my buddy's house on the weekend, and we would just have a hell of a time just taking turns to beat the crap out of each other. Just fun, drunk, carefree, irresponsible memories as a late teenager. Really good. Obviously, the Fight Night games are a lot better in this, but this is where it all began with Knockout Kings and Ready to Rumble Boxing. I actually prefer the second one over the first one. I feel like the gameplay had a bit more flow. But yeah, solid, man. I like them more than I did back then. I'm actually impressed that Knockout Kings even runs on the Game Boy Color. I think Game Boy Color is one of the worst mainstream handhelds we've ever had. And I'm glad Nintendo redeemed themselves a couple years later with a Game Boy Advance. The Game Boy Color should have never happened. With that being said, for what it's worth, I mean, this looks okay, to be honest. I don't know if it plays any fun, but it looks alright. And Ready to Rumble also came out in the Game Boy Color. Now, this looks kind of shit, to be honest. I remember, like, WrestleMania 2000 kind of looked like that, and it played like ass. And now we got KO. See, now they're just getting worse and worse and worse. This doesn't even look fun. So primitive. They're Ready to Rumble Boxing Round 2. See, yeah, I've got this on the PlayStation 2 still. And this just felt more refined and more fun to play than the first one. Difficulty was well customizable. Mike Tyson's Boxing. Oh, man. I got this on the PlayStation 1 really late in the life cycle. And I was so excited for this because I was like, yeah, finally Mike freaking Tyson is back in a boxing game, even though he was constantly losing, unfortunately, at this point. And this is about as Temu, discount bin, crappy, garbage, a boxing game you'll ever play. But with that being said, I stuck with it for a whole weekend and finally got from the start to the finish and beat the whole thing. And I was just not feeling satisfied any part of that journey. Hey, this is just such a horrible boxing game. Bargain bin stuff only, guys. It's no good. It's really bad. Knockout Kings 2000. I mean, an improvement from 99 and the original one, right? But, I mean, nostalgia-wise, I just prefer the original. Victory Boxing Challenges. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, this was Victory Boxing 3. Nowhere near as good as Victory Boxing 1 and 2. This one was ass, man. I've tried to get into this one. I just couldn't. Well, there were way better boxing games than this. HBO Boxing. Oh, bro, I still have a physical copy of this game. Now, look, it doesn't hold up well now because the buttons are a little bit complicated. I'm not going to go into it because, you know, we've got a video to go through. But if you could master the controls, this was as good as a boxing simulation got. The problem is most people just didn't stick it out. But, you know, you could pick your managers, your corner men and everything. You'd have a range of legends in this game. You'd start from gyms, working your way up to bars and arenas. Once you got to arenas, you'd have commentary. And, oh, man, I just thought the level of polish on this was actually really underrated. I love this boxing experience. But I'm not going to lie and say the gameplay was for everybody. And I certainly couldn't go back and play this now because boxing games have been so much better improved control-wise. But, yeah, I loved it. I've got this as well on PlayStation 2, based on Ippo's Road to Glory, Ippo the Fighting. It follows the anime, which is currently still on Netflix, I think. Another content, yeah, right. I mean, more of the same. We got Heartbeat Boxing, which is a bunch of bitches slapping each other now. All right. Like Rumble Roses, but boxing. Monkey Puncher, eh? Let's just exploit a bunch of monkeys and put them in the ring, sure. Prince Nazim Boxing, yeah, for a small amount of time, he was a pretty big deal, huh? I remember him being all over the TV. Game doesn't look that fun, unfortunately. And we got Mocap Boxing, the arcade game. This looks really, really interesting. And I think I may have, like, seen this before. Is this the box where you have, like, a marker or a pad or something and you have to punch it? And I don't know. I'm getting, like, massive deja vu, like I've seen this game, but I just don't remember it entirely. Someone tell me a bit more about Mocap Boxing. More Knockout Kings. I mean, this was all on the next generation consoles. You can see it looks improved graphically, but wait till you see Fight Night come out for the first time. Wow. Now we got Ready to Rumble bot. Yeah, you know, I loved Game Boy Advance. It was just kind of like the whole little engine that could. It really punched above its weight graphically with a lot of games. Ready to Rumble Boxing Round 2 here doesn't look too bad. I'm sure compared to anything on Game Boy Color, this would be a lot more fun to play. The Boxing Fever. I remember hearing this being like a punch-out experience. I haven't tried this one myself. I've always been meaning to do it, but I forget about it. Now we got Boxing Champions. Don't know too much about this one. This definitely looks like discount bin nonsense, doesn't it? Now we got Knockout Kings 2002. Graphically, it hits the mark. It's just really all about gameplay in the end. Now we got Punch King on Game Boy Advance. Damn, man, I've been going to sleep on these Game Boy Advance boxing games, although this one I'm not so sure about. I'm just kind of like, eh. Now we got Tyson's Heavyweight. You thought Tyson's heavyweight boxing on PlayStation 1 was bad. Fuck me. Oh my gosh. Don't waste your money on this one, eh? Just don't. Oh, another Epo the Fighting, but a 3D fighting game this time. Oh, this looks alright. Yeah, now we got Rocky. Oh, dude. I love Rocky because you get little cutscenes, and they're really poorly acted, but it was acceptable at the time. I had this on Xbox, and you fight between Rocky, Rocky 2, Rocky 3, Rocky 4, and then Rocky 5, following the movies. There's not a whole lot of cutscenes, but each story arc ends with a cutscene and a main boss fight, if that makes sense. So like Apollo, Clubber Lang, Drago, and Tommy Morrison. It's a good time. I liked Rocky Legends, the game afterwards, because there was a lot of unlockables, a survival mode. You could actually do a career with Rocky, Clubber, a Drago, or Apollo, which was pretty freaking neat as well. Very, very arcadey game, this game. But you can make it as hard or as easy as you want, so it's customizable. I forgot Knockout Kings went up to 2003. I think this is too much of a good thing at this point. I'm glad we got up to the Fight Night pretty soon, All-Star Boxing. I can't believe it. This actually come out in 2003. If I'm not mistaken, I remember having this game. And I think there was literally just like one button for attacks. And I don't even know if there was a block button. I'm sure there was. But I remember in this game, there was literally only one punch button. And you would do combos. And that's it. Unless I just didn't know how to play. And then that's on me. Because I wouldn't lie on purpose. But I'm pretty sure this was the game where you literally had only one punch button. On a PlayStation game. Pretty shit. Yeah. Ashita no Joe. Is this the same as the Neo Geo one that we saw before? Oh, so continue. Must have been a big thing in Japan then. The Black and Bruised. There we go. Couple ladies from Labo fighting each other. Wade Hickston's Counter Punch. Another Game Boy Advance game. But these ladies, poor ladies, are taking a freaking hiding right now. Poor girl. Oh, now we're talking. Now look at how much of a big step up graphically Fight Night 2004 here is compared to Knockout Kings. It looks so good. And then you had the total punch control for the first time. You could either fight with the buttons or you could use the analog stick. There was so many great hip-hop tracks in this, including some stuff from Diddy, which we can't talk about anymore. Mr. Baby All, thank you very much for ruining our childhood. But yeah, this has spawned a great franchise of games. It's a shame it'd be so hard to make a boxing game profitable. I really hope we get another fight night one day. We now got Boxing Legends here. And yeah, like I said, you could play as all the main villains. Victorious Boxing, Fighting Spirit, yeah. I preferred the Victory Boxing games on PlayStation 1, but worth a chance. Fight Night Round 2. I mean, not much I really need to say about this one. Just improves over Fight Night Part 1. You know, between Fight Night 1, 2, and 3, I think I preferred the second one. At least the way the career mode was structured. But then, like, Fight Night 4 and Fight Night Champion, I think just took it up to another level after that. Now we got KO King on. Okay, this looks like another bargain bin freaking. This, unfortunately, around this point in time, we got so much shovelware and things like Nintendo Wii and PlayStation. But with that being said, Fight Night Round 3 looked really good on PlayStation 3. Wow. I mean, I still have this on CD. That looks nice. We got Boxers Road 2 on PSP. There was a Rocky game on PSP as well, wasn't there? Like Rocky, based on Rocky, the sixth movie, if I'm not mistaken, Wii Sports Boxing. Oh man, you know what? The Wii Sports Boxing had such great potential. When the motion controls actually worked, this was a fun game and a fun workout to be on it, albeit a little silly. But it was a good time when the motion controls actually did what you told them to. And now we got Victorious Boxers Revolution on the Wii. And there was also a Don King boxing game, huh? The thing is, that a lot of these boxing games on Nintendo Wii tried to make you use a nunchuck, the remote, and then also the Wii Fit board for the footwork and stuff. And I can look, I respect that it was trying to be immersive and everything, but a little bit ahead of its time. The equipment just wasn't ready for it yet, you know. Yeah, this is Rocky Balboa on the PSP. I need to dive into this one. I mean, it doesn't look as good as the ones on console, but I still want to try it. I'm a big Rocky guy. And it looks like another Victory Boxing game here. And Showtime Championship Boxing. I didn't realize there were so many boxing games on the Wii. I remember Victorious Boxing being on the Wii and Don King Boxing. I never saw anything else. I mean, these are all new to me. This might have been the shovel. Look at it. Look how clunky and crap that looks. Now we got Facebreaker. Dude, I'd always see copies of Facebreaker at like the EB Games bargain bin, like for clearance for like $3 or $4. And there would always be like a dozen or 2 dozen copies in every like freaking bargain bin. I'm barely even exaggerating, right? So I just always assumed the game was trash because there was always so many copies available. But hey, if you've played Facebreaker before, let me know what you thought of it. I never was game to try it. And yeah, Don King's Prize Fire. Was that on Xbox 360 as well? Maybe it was more fun to play on an actual control pad. To be fair, it doesn't look that bad, but I remember it came out on DS, and it came out on Wii, and I think it got like a 5 out of 10, which is very mid, so I just never ever bothered, right? Now we got Animal Boxing. Oh, this kind of looks a bit trash. They're trying to turn boxing into a cutesy kids game. I mean, no, you should have done something like Punch-Out. We got Ready to Rumble Revolution. I didn't even know we got a third Ready to Rumble game. But I can already tell you right now, this doesn't look as good as the first two. It looks like a bit more of a lazy effort at this point. Now we got the Don King Boxing again on the Wii. The game graphically doesn't look tragic, but obviously it must have been... Yeah, see, I love Fight Night Round 4. When I finally got my PlayStation 3 for the first time, this was one of the first games I bought along with Dante's Inferno and Call of Duty Black Ops, I think. I was a bit late to PlayStation 3, by the way. But what a mean game. This is so good. I like that you could use Aussie Anthony Mundine. I know a lot of people didn't like him, fair enough. But being that I was Aussie, I supported my boy. And yeah, he was in the game. We got Doc Lewis Punch-Out. We got, I think this is a bonus... mini Punch-Out game. But, I mean, I'm surprised they didn't just put the regular Wii Punch-Out in there. But, okay. Kinect Sports. This is when you had the Kinect bar and you could do the movements. Kind of like iToy on PlayStation 2 beforehand, but on the 360. Thankfully, that Kinect was a little bit more responsive. But the games, depending on what you played, were hit and miss. I never tried the boxing ones myself. But you can see, look, it looks a bit clunky, just like you're trying to punch with Wii remotes or something, right? And now we got Power Punch on Wii. So another anime-looking boxing game.
Third and final round.
Looks a bit, oh man. It's crazy to think that this is still the standard when it comes to boxing games. And it must be so hard to license a boxing game, because boxing doesn't have such a great reputation anymore because of things like alleged fixed fights and you know, like the social media people joining the ring, and it doesn't have the same magic as the 70s and 80s, right? And then mix in the fact that these guys make millions of dollars a fight, so they would all cost a fortune to put all the big boxes in the game. And then you have to sell a boxing game to a niche audience. You're not going to get a return on investment. And I think that's why we've had so many UFC games since then, not to mention the fact that UFC is a lot more popular now and not a boxing game, since apart from Undisputed, which I'm sure we're going to talk about in this video. But Fight Night was the standard when it came to boxing games, still the king. A great cinematic story mode, wonderful career mode. Played this on, I've forgotten what the PlayStation 3 emulator is called. But if you play it on that instead of the actual PlayStation 3, the load times are reduced by about 70 or 80%. Why is that important? Because the long load times in the career mode made it really annoying to play, but that's now been fixed on emulation, so definitely check that out. Now we got Sports Champions 2. I don't remember this game. Again, looks like shovelware. And Boxing Boy on Linux. Looks like a $3 game you'd buy on Steam or something. And I'm not knocking Steam. Steam's awesome. We got Beast Boxing. On PC. Oh, so maybe this is on Steam. I'm going to have to look at this. Don't let me forget. Alright. And now Real Boxing on the PS... Right. What could have been with the PS Vita? If they just called it a PSP 2... people might have been like, okay, it's the next one up. We got to get it. You've just got to treat people when you're marketing a product in a way they can understand things like a 5-year-old. You know, when you have a Wii and instead of bringing a new one out and calling it a Wii 2, you just call it a Wii U, you're confusing people. When you have a PSP and then all of a sudden call the next one a PS Vita, you're just confusing people, and then there's going to instantly be a disconnect. And it's just... Anyway. I'm not signing the $1 million checks though, right? Now we got Wii Sports Club on the Nintendo Wii again. That kind of looks average. Yeah, we got Ippo the Fighting again. So this must have been a Japan-only release. That looks pretty nice, actually. This looks like it's fun to play. Real Boxing 2. So Real Boxing is on iOS and Android. It was originally marketed as a Rocky game, I think, if I'm not mistaken, but they lost the license and then went back with generic characters. There was a pretty good career mode on the, I think, the iOS version, as well as the fact that I think you could somewhat do multiplayer fights and everything and go up a leaderboard. I really enjoy it. I've got a starter kit and I've got some pay-to-win things in it. I didn't spend too much, but... They did port this onto the Nintendo Switch, but all the fun elements that they had in the online mode on the iOS, they stripped out, and I don't really recommend it. But a good memory for a time. I have streamed this a couple times way back in the day. Very arcadey boxing game, but worth a shot. Now we got Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. I didn't realize they had the Sonic boxing game on there. I did, the last Nintendo boxing game I did was the Olympics 2020, the Tokyo one, I think. Now we got Punch Club. This game's actually really good. I got gifted a copy of this. I originally had this on the 3DS, and I got gifted a copy of this on Steam. Forgive me, was this done by Tiny Build? They gave me a gifted copy, and I did a review stream on this. It's pretty good. It's kind of like an RPG where you have to build yourself up as a professional boxer and work a regular job, do some street fighting to make some money, and then work your way up the ranks in a boxing game. I think they also did a sequel, which was more of an MMA game. A little bit of a grind, but if you can get past the grind, in between all that, this is a pretty fun experience. This is one of those games that's fun to play when you don't know what to play. And the monotony in the right circumstances can actually be somewhat comforting. So, yeah. Now we got the Thrill of the Fight VR boxing. Yeah, you know what? I freaking love this game. I wish I still had my MetaQuest. When I do eventually get another Oculus, I have a whole library of games waiting for me. Long story. But when it comes to VR boxing game, everyone talks about Creed. That game is okay, but when it comes to something that's a bit more realistic and immersive, this game here might not look like much, but for me, the Thrill of the Fight is the standard, and it's an amazing workout. It's just something so rewarding about going like 9-10 rounds, sitting down for that minute break between rounds and having a full-length fight. Now we got Knockout League. This kind of looks trash. I don't even remember it. We got Boxing Star on... Oh, I played that! Yeah, Boxing Star's alright. Not as good as Real Boxing 2. But again, if you're into sort of like gotcha, pay to win, multiplayer online iOS games, worth a shot. Just don't lose too much money, okay? Now we got Mario and Sonic at the Olympics. What was really interesting about this game is I imported this, I think in like 2019, started 2020, right, for the Olympics. And so I had this a year longer than most people. Because at the time, I think they only released it in Japan. And then My Sharona 87 happened, the pandemic. And then you remember the Olympics got postponed by a year. And then this got released. So I had this game for about a year and a half before everyone else. And was just basically playing everyone in Japan. But yeah, not Mario and Sonic, but the Tokyo Olympics, which also had a boxing game, excuse me. I got a little bit confused there. I just wanted to tell my boxing story. Now we got Boxing Champs on the Switch. I got this. Look, it's a fun 5-minute time killer. Not that great. Yeah, this is the one I meant. Sorry, Olympic Games Tokyo. I didn't like the Mario and Sonic Olympic Games 2020. We probably never get another one. I hate it when Nintendo try too hard to put storylines in games that they don't need to put storylines in. They should have just given us a fun track and field athletics Olympic package, but instead it seemed like there was more text boxes and just pointless little story quests that, rather than letting us have free reign, if that makes sense. They should have gone the route of those old Konami. Anyway, moving on. We got the Olympic Games Tokyo. The boxing in this was actually pretty fun. Playing this online, albeit basic, was a good time. You know, doing the amateur boxing. Victory Road on PC. This is kind of like... sort of like a boxing simulator / RPG kind of game. I do have this. I haven't dived into it properly. And now we have Big Rumble Boxing Creed Champions. I wanted to like this, and I've beaten this game with most characters. But the story mode is a bunch of text boxes. It's pretty uninspired. You're not really connecting with any of, like... because each character has their own story arc. You're not connecting with any of them. They're just very uninteresting. The gameplay itself is very basic. I don't mind that it's arcadey and simple, but it just felt like they were cashing in on a license rather than trying to make a fun game here, unfortunately. So probably somewhere mid, like a 5 or 6 out of 10. Maybe give it a shot. Now, Undisputed. This was supposed to be the game that dethroned Fight Night, right? And I have this game. I got it in very early access. I actually have this on my Steam Deck and on PlayStation. Look, to tell you the truth, I quite enjoy it. Being that I'm mainly a solo game, I like taking one of my favorite boxers, whether it's Muhammad Ali or Tyson Fury or Butterbean, up from rank 50 to number 1 and trying to win various championships along the way until we're like world ranked, so to speak. I think it's a good time, albeit a little bit clunky when you're playing in single player mode. I think most people are disappointed with the online element because at the start there are a lot of cheaters which made people lose faith in the game and just glitches that shouldn't have been happening. And I think a lot of people unfortunately lose faith in Undisputed. But if you're a solo player, I definitely feel like it's a wonderful experience. But like I said, these games are really expensive to license. So some people consider the DLC to be predatory, but I don't think it is deliberately to get new boxes. I just think the game is so expensive, it's just hard to fund. But let me know what you think of Undisputed. Thank you for watching, guys. This was from Video Games Evolution. Let me know your favorite boxing knockout guys in video games. And we'll see you in the next video. Take care, everybody.